So today we have team Fast but Not Furious with us. The topic of their presentation is twist your anger to motivation. I would like to wish the team good luck. May you all perform very well. Now I request the mentor of the team, Anashwara Ravi, to start the presentation. Over to you, Anashwara.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening to one and all present here. We are here with like 15 days of hard work, and my team has been the best with me. So I'm here to present and I'm giving them the opportunity to start. So we are fast and furious. Rest you'll know with the presentation.
Yes. I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Okay, so I'll be starting now. First of all, a very good evening to one and all present here and our respected jury members. We are Team Fast but Not Furious, mentored by Miss Anashwara Ravi. Our team consists of Devansh Chaudhary, Tarini Makkar, I, Khanak Lashkari, and Shubhakshi Muria. So now let's move on to know what our topic exactly is. Our topic is to twist your anger into motivation. Now, the catch or the highlight here is that we are not talking about anger management or controlling anger. No, we believe that anger is inevitable and that anger should be embraced. Anger management, sure, is a good way out, but embracing your anger is the best. Anger management is often talked and discussed, but changing your anger into something positive and healthy is hardly a matter of concern for many. Anger is actually a very positive energy that all of us should channelize to bring out something positive in ourselves. We believe that anger can either be the biggest hurdle for your future or can be the fuel for your future. But anger as a fuel for your future is very underrated, and that is exactly why we would like to start by breaking a myth that anger is negative. No, it's not negative. Same as any other emotion, it's exactly how you perceive it. Sure, this might be difficult for some, but again, difficulties are exactly what makes you a better person. Even anger requires some sort of focus and determination. You have to analyze and assess what makes you angry and turn it into a motivator. Maybe someone, for example, someone did something better than you. So rather than blaming others for it, use that factor to improve yourself and to push you towards the goals. Here we'll be presenting to you another anger angle, the one that is less discussed and the one that is very underrated. So without further ado, let's get into understanding how we came up with this name, Fast But Not Furious. When it is said, just be patient, just be relaxed, it is very easy to say this, but to execute it, is it really easy? Certainly not. When we are in a rush or hurry, we do not realize and access what matters. We don't acknowledge those tiny things that matter, but we believe that anger is that one factor which can enable anyone to acknowledge those tiny factors only if understood properly and positively. I would like to quote something. Wise men say that fools rush in. But to be very honest, if that was the scenario in today's competitive world, all of us would be entitled as fools. No, it's not something to be ashamed of. And all of us run, we all rush. All of us here want supreme growth as fast as possible with maximum pace. So what do? Do we just sit back and get discouraged by this very fact? No, we use it because it is the demand of today's world, the modern, advanced, and ever growing world. It requires promptness, and therefore we should use this promptness and not get angry. And this is exactly what Fast But Not Furious wants to address. That if you already know anger is inescapable from the levels required to meet the levels of today's world, then why fear it? Why ignore it? Let's just be ready to face it. We shall be all prepared to make the maximum use out of it. And therefore, Fast But Not Furious wants to address that even during rush hours, even during hurry, we shall not use our anger for waste. We shall not use our anger. We should not take it as granted. Instead, we should make the maximum use out of it wisely and smartly. Now, Devansh Chaudhary will continue.
Now we will learn about what is anger. We can explain anger using 3 paragraphs. Anger is characterized by antagonism towards someone or something you feel has deliberately done you wrong. Second, anger can give you as a way to express negative feeling or motivate you to find solution to the problem. Third, problem caused due to excessive anger includes increased blood pressure, depression, addiction, and other mental health problems. Now we will talk about what is motivation. Motivation is the process that initiates, guides, and maintains goal-oriented behavior. Motivation causes you to act, whether it is taking a glass of water to reduce your thirst or reading a book to gain knowledge. Motivation refers to factors that activate behaviors, that direct and maintain goal-oriented actions, that determine structure of work, that give purpose to your work. Now Tarini will lead you further.
Emotional intelligence as a psychological theory was developed in the late 1980s by Peter Salovey and John Mayer. Salovey and Mayer originally described it as the ability to perceive emotions, to access and generate emotions so as to assist thought, to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. According to their theory, emotional intelligence has 5 components. First, self-awareness. This is the ability to recognize and understand personal moods, emotions, and drives and the effect of them on both self and others. Self-awareness depends on one's ability to monitor one's own emotional state and to correctly identify and name the emotions being felt. Self-regulation or self-management. This is the ability to control or redirect disruptive emotional impulses and moods. It involves the ability to suspend judgment and delay action to allow time for thought. From a neuroscientific perspective, you can frequently observe the skill or lack of it by watching response time. If an angry client is in rapid fire mode, responding to what you say in less than about a half a second, then it is very likely that they do not give conscious to what is being said to them. Those with this ability will frequently demonstrate trustworthiness, integrity, comfort, with ambiguity and openness to change. Third, self-motivation. Frequently seen with veterinary professions, internal motivation is about working with and for an inner vision of what is important, a curiosity and desire for learning and development, a drive that goes beyond external rewards such as money or status. There is often a strong drive to achieve optimism even in the face of failure and organizational commitment. There are also risks, particularly in the presence of an undue sense of perfectionism. Fourth, empathy. This relates to the ability to understand the emotional makeup of others and the skill to treat people according to their emotional reactions. It includes skills in building and maintaining relationships with those we come into contact with on a daily basis. Though central to a service profession, empathy can tend to be somewhat less well developed in those with an isolated background and an intensive or competitive scientific training. Empathy often does, but doesn't necessarily imply compassion. It can be used for good as well as bad. Fifth and final, social skills. This involves the ability to manage relationships, build networks, find common ground, and build rapport. It will often help when leading change, being persuasive, building expertise, and getting great performance from teams. While it's complex and somewhat uncertain, emotional intelligence reflects a central set of competences within what is to be a veterinary profession. Education is in this area remains basic within the profession, but in the increasingly more challenging environment ahead, it may make the difference between success and failure. John M. Fisher and the chartered psychologist who researched and developed the personal transition through change curve, he presented at the 10th International Personal Construct Congress in Berlin in 1999 and subsequently developed in his work on constructivist theory in relation to service provision organizations at Leicester University in England. John M. Fisher's process of transition curve explains how people respond to change through defined phases that are followed in succession until they accept the change. This same theory is based on earlier studies by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who identified various stages of grief transition. Much of the actual transition through the phases is completed subconsciously, while some people move more quickly through the phases than others. Everyone will need different things depending on which phase they are in. Deciding factors are their temperament, life experiences, perceived degree of control, and so on. The key to understanding the phases is not to feel like you must go through every one of them in precise order. Some people may also regress to an earlier stage depending on their situation. Instead, it's more helpful to look at them as guides in the change process. It helps you to understand and put into context where you and others are. Keep in mind that everyone reacts differently. Some people will readily show their emotions, while others will experience their emotions more internally. We should try not to judge how a person experiences change, as each person will experience it differently. Now, we have a short film to elaborate on our topic.
You shouldn't be angry. Hey, you've got a very short temper. Well, we have all heard these lines from someone at some phase of our life. And why not? Society has always perceived anger as a negative impact, a trait that no one should possess, regardless of the fact that it is the most significant human emotion and is inevitable. We, team fast but not furious, are all set to knock down these old conventional notions and bring the change. When we believe in embracing anger, yes, we believe that anger can actually be a great driver of motivation and can help you access your maximum potential.
Anger is one of the most liberal emotions human being can feel. But yet, to label emotions as good or bad, most of us try to find out either a side or find this concept of situation. When you're angry, your anger can lead to a situation which can actually determine your values, states in the eyes of others, my anger into motivation and losing seriously. When I was in my class life, I was so much fascinated by the phrase called burning honest. But my elder brother was not. He used to constantly plan for me and used to complain to my mother that I'm not going to make a living. She was married to my dad for an hour or two. It was like that dude deserved from a place. The stove wasn't the right one. But then what I was thinking like that, I was running and that's what I was doing. And it's my life that made me kind of work. Like you are putting this right and the things that find education and appreciated. When I got I was able to I was able to
Excuse me, we cannot hear the sound.
Sorry, ma'am.
I cannot hear your voices in your video.
It's the same for all of us. I mean, even I can't hear anything. I mean, of course, the video is very good, but we can't hear it.
Too good, yeah, but we cannot hear.
Hi, just give me a second.
Kanya, ma'am, should I present and should I just attach the speaker and maybe try that? Then maybe you'll be able to hear.
Yeah, because your video is so good, but we cannot hear the voice.
Ma'am, I'm replaying it. I guess it should be audible now.
Alive. Hey, you shouldn't be this angry. Hey, you've got a very short temper.
Ma'am, is it audible now?
Yeah, better now.
Yeah, better.
You shouldn't be this angry. Hey, you've got a very short temper. Well, we have all heard these lines from someone at some stage of our life. And why not? Society has always perceived anger as a negative impact, a trait that no one should possess, regardless of the fact that it is the most significant human emotion and is inevitable. We, Team Fast but not Furious, are all set to knock down these old conventional notions and bring the change. When we believe in embracing anger, yes, we believe that anger can actually be a great driver of motivation and can help you access your maximum potential. It's the same road we're walking down, same job, same town. 'Cause we've been taught that's the way our world goes round. Walking on the grounds we've always loved before, stepping on the footprints in the snow.
Anger is one of the most visceral emotions a human being can experience. We tend to label emotions as good or bad. Most of us try to find out either a flight or fight response when it comes to the situation. When you are angry, your anger can lead to a situation which can actually undermine your value, your stature in the eyes of others. I am going to share the experience of mine when I turned my anger into motivation and used it as a fuel to get economic success. When I was in my class 9, I was so much fascinated by a phrase called earning online. But my elder brother was not. He used to constantly nag upon me and used to complain to my mother that I'm not going to make a living using that. He ran into my room and yelled at me for an hour or two. He was like, "That dude, this isn't going to make you rich." His tone wasn't a quiet one. You might be wondering what I was doing at that time. I was earning online. And that's what I was doing. And his final lines that made me fly upward, like you aren't going to successful in this life at such a tender age and finally you screw up your education and earning online book. I wasn't doing much at that time, but the sentence is when I was going up pretty fully motivated and confident. A week later, my anger turned into motivation. I was able to fetch a project for $7 per hour, but I got grades and my confidence grew. I was able to make $100 a week, and that was a big motivation for me and a big embarrassment for myself.
Alan Alda, a six-time Emmy Award winner, once said, "I am an angry person. I get hot flashes of anger. What works for me is knowing what to do with them." But what do you do with your anger? You channel it. You channel it into dedication towards your goals, into a long-term plan for success. You channel it into art, into music and dance. You channel it into standing up for yourself after being stepped on and left behind. Anger is nothing but an emotion you can easily take control of. And after all, it is only an angry tide which generates energy. So harness all that negative energy and turn it into motivation.
Now comes the question, can anger be turned into motivation? Well, anger creates a sense of power and control, where prior to anger, these positive motivating feelings did not exist. Anger gives us the emotional fuel required to advocate for ourselves, to take skillful action, and to stand up for others in situations of injustice. So, use your anger to fuel your hard work. Understanding your anger can unlock your willpower, and that unlocked willpower will give you discipline. So don't let society's narrow-mindedness hold you back. Let this discipline, unlock discipline, fuel your hard work. Let your anger motivate you. Now, maybe you're angered by your boss yelling at you for careless mistakes. However, anger can be used as an introspective emotion. Maybe you were so angered by your boss yelling at you because you never had any interest in your job in the first place, or because it triggered some sad memories from your past. So anger can be used as a way to look into ourselves and find out what's actually motivating us and our reactions. So detach from unhelpful thoughts, don't blame anyone else or yourself. Let your angry energy be used as a fuel to motivate you and push you forward. But then comes an important question. How can anger be turned into motivation? Well, the answer is simple. Use the inner energy of anger to create transformation. Expressing emotions through art is as old as creativity itself. So let the stroke of your pen or your brush do the work of expressing your anger for you. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and create art. Relationships, on the other hand, tend to be fragile things. You cannot let your anger fuel that. However, whenever the volatile parts of your anger, whenever your rage threatens your relationships, focus on the healthy parts of such feelings. Look into yourself and find out what is triggering me. Is it a specific emotion, a specific person? And then describe that feeling. To access productive anger, turn your anger into motivation and turn your anger into effective communication. In this way, anger can actually motivate healthy relationships too and get moving. But instead of doing all that, you could simply ask, why should I value my anger? Well, the answer here is also simple. See, anger can lead to tremendous self-improvement. Julia Cameron said in The Artist's Way, anger is not the enemy. Sloth, apathy, and evilness, those are our enemies. Anger, however, is a friend, not a gentle friend, certainly not a nice friend. However, it is a friend which is loyal, which will stand by us. It will always tell us when we have been wronged, when we have been betrayed, and when we have betrayed ourselves. It will tell us when it is time that we have had enough and now we should speak up. So come on, use your anger. Listen to the message that your anger is telling you. After all, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, all of them used their anger to protect their beliefs. They negotiated and cooperated with their enemies, and ultimately they inspired others and left a huge mark on humanity. For a more modern example, let's look at Atira Tan, founder and executive director of the Art to Healing Project, a project which works to save child victims of self-trafficking. When she was asked, how do you deal with your anger? She said, and I quote, I used to be so angry at the traffickers for what they did to the children. And then the more I worked in this horrible industry, the more compassion I felt for the traffickers too. And all that compassion and anger turned into an intense determination and passion to stop this terrible industry. So in Atira's case, her anger gave her the motivation and the drive to work towards her goals, but it also gave her the optimism and the energy to stay positive and hope for change in such a bleak industry. So, which is why you should always value your anger.
Now we come to data analysis. So we circulated a Google Forms and we got around 211 responses from ages from 28.9% belonging to above 30 category, 47.4 from below 80, and 23.7% from 18 to 30, out of which 61.0% of them were female and 38.0% of them were male. So the very first question that we asked from them was, do you believe that staying away from the source of anger is a good way to keep yourself intact? The results that we got were 44.5% people believe that yes, 40.3 believe sometimes, 15.2 believe no. The objective and the analysis that we did from here was we have a very close call between yes and sometimes. This indicates that people are either very sure about their instinct that anger is a good and a positive imprint in their life and is fruitful, whereas 40% people are confused till date that if anger is fruitful for them or not. The second question that we asked was, when something frustrating happens, do you try to see the positive side of the situation? The response that we got was 50.2% people believe sometimes, 40.3 said yes, and 9.5 said no. This indicates that almost 50% people are still confused that does conservatively considered as negative things consist of positive imprint such as anger, and 40% said yes, which is a very good analysis in itself, that people try to see the positive side of bad situations.
According to the analysis we did, the question, does anger keep you focused and help you to deal with your problems most effectively, gets 65% no and 28% maybe, which tells us that mostly people think anger to be negative and fails to use it as a key to focus and to deal with your problem effectively. Instead, they take it as a hindrance. Our another question was, have you ever unexpectedly gotten angry without being aware and it turned out to be a fruitful decision for you? 1/3 of the people answered yes. That means 1/3 of people got benefit by unexpected anger, but still the majority of the people, that is 2/3 of the total, has answered no or rarely, which stands out that people are still unaware of the fact unexpected anger, which in result has decreased the probability of fruitful decision. Now Tarini will lead you further.
Now, for our fifth question, we asked people, do you think not knowing how to control your anger is normal and letting it undertake yourself is a positive indication as it helps you to get motivated? For this question, 21.8% people respond sometimes, 61.6% very few people truly believe that anger is an important emotion and can be a positive indication and .3% people said no, 12.3% people said yes, and 29.4% said sometimes. This implies that nearly 3/5 people believe that anger does not help them solve problems or remove any hindrances or obstacles that may be in their way. Nearly 30% people believe that anger can help them find a new way, find their potential. Sometimes, while only 12% people believe that anger actually helps them evade obstacles and barriers and find a new potential.
The seventh question we asked, have you ever encountered a situation where feelings of control and righteousness that came from anger inspired you to challenge and change difficult interpersonal and social injustices? 61.1 people said yes, 31.8 maybe, and 7.1 no. Now, this is an excellent indicator that people do see the positive sides of anger in standing up for themselves and others in social and even personal relationships. The eighth question we asked was, when someone makes you angry, do you think not showing your emotions and tolerating it makes you more stable and calm? 39.8% people said yes, 38.9% said maybe, and 22.3% said no. Now, this shows that people really do not have much understanding of their emotions, since repressing your anger and keeping it inside will only make it come out later in more dangerous, unproductive ways. And the better way to handle your anger is to use effective communication. Next, we will present you with our research. Anger makes people want things more. A study published in the Psychological Science, a journal for the Association of Psychological Science, finds that anger activates areas in the left side of brain, which is associated with positive emotions such as motivation. Hank Arts of the Utrecht University in Netherlands, who is the first author of this study, said, "This is the kind of positive motivation that is normally associated with good emotions. When people want to obtain a certain object or work towards a certain goal, it is because it's positive, it makes them feel good, and they want to work towards it because it brings happiness into their lives." But when we ask people, why did you work towards this? They said, it's only because I like it, which shows people have very little understanding of their own emotions. Then Dr. Mitch Ablett, PhD, said, we have all encountered situations where we unleashed our anger on people, which led to destruction of personal and social relationships. However, he also continues, anger can be a glowing torch to stand up to toxic workplace environments, to stand up for ourselves in relationships where we feel we are being stepped on, and even in familial and friendly relationships where we feel we have been left unheard. So anger does have positive impact on everyone's life if we are willing to see it. Next, I will hand it over to Khanak.
Now let's understand the relationship between anger and motivation more thoroughly with the help of a study. So in our study, participants were shown images of common objects, but immediately before the image of each object, either an angry face, a neutral face, or a fearful face appeared. After the study was done, each participant was asked how much you wanted each object. Now, the observation here was that people put more effort in action in objects associated with anger. No, they did not do this for fearful or neutral objects. Now, this makes sense if we think about how evolution of human motivation took place. For example, let's say there's limited food in the environment, and if you associate food with anger, if anger triggers a aggression in your system, then you're more likely to put extra effort to get it, and you're more likely to get the food and win the battle. But at the same time, if food does not make you angry, if it does not trigger or enable aggression in your system, then you would not put more effort to get it, and you're more likely to lose the battle and get defeated. Therefore, anger makes people want things. Anger makes people get their work done. Therefore, associating your anger with your weaknesses, your wants, and your failures is an incredible way to groom and motivate yourself into something better. At least it's better than waiting for someone for so long to come and give a motivational speech and guide you towards a goal. There is no need to wait for hope when the hope resides within you itself. Now, I would like to ask Devansh to continue.
Researcher Malthus Bass, Karsten D. Drew, and Bernard Nidstad, in a series of studies recently published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, found that angry people were more likely to be creative. The researcher first elicited anger from the study participant, or sadness, or a non-emotional state, and then asked them to engage in a brainstorming session in which they generated ideas to preserve and improve the environment. Angry participants generated more ideas by volume and generated more original ideas, those thought of by less than 1% or less of the other sad or non-emotional participant. These findings reported by Bass and colleagues and make sense, given what we already know about anger. First, anger is an emerging feeling, important for the attention needed to solve the problem creatively. Second, anger leads to more flexible, unstructured thought process. People who feel angry versus those sad are less likely to think in systematic way and more likely to rely on broad cues when judging information. This kind of global processing tends to be associated with literally seeing the bigger picture. Now, Tarini will lead you further.
Even though people have a perception about anger being a negative emotion, anger has been helping people achieve what they want since ages. For example, during the time of independence, Mahatma Gandhi, now known as the father of the nation, got motivated from his anger that he felt. All the ill treatment and struggle he went through definitely made him feel angry. But he took advantage of his emotions, and rather than being violent and unpleasant, he decided to think wisely and started countrywide movements such as the non-cooperation and civil disobedience movement, and in the end succeeded and fulfilled his dream of a free India. Another example is that of Oprah Winfrey, a world-renowned influencer. Born to unmarried parents, Winfrey was raised by her maternal grandmother on an isolated Mississippi farm, by her mother in Milwaukee ghetto, and finally by her father in Nashville. From her childhood, Winfrey displayed a precocious talent of public speaking, and at the age of 12, having earned $500 for a presentation at Nashville Church, declared that she wanted to make a living being paid to talk. The significant challenges that Winfrey overcame, ranging from economic hardship to sexual abuse, enabled the talk show host to connect with her guests and the public. The Oprah Winfrey Show has blossomed from a forum for conversation to a proactive instrument for addressing issues of social and personal concern. It is thus her ability of getting motivated from all the hardships that life threw at her that has been the key to her enormous success. By every usual standard, I was the biggest failure I knew. Those are the words of J.K. Rowling, the author whose book series has been translated into 73 different languages, sold millions of copies, and accrued over $20 billion through movie adaptations and sponsorships. So why does she admit to being such a failure? J.K. Rowling went from being a jobless single mother living off unemployment benefits to one of the best-selling authors of all time. But it didn't happen overnight. She faced rejection and constantly strived for success. She worked hard at her craft before anyone noticed her. That practice, along with the strengthening herself against rejection, was what made her work unforgettable. Looking back, the Harry Potter series has earned over $400 million in book sales, and the last movie alone earned $476 million in ticket sales on opening weekend itself. She was the first female to become a billionaire author. Not that many authors make it that far in the first place. If you have a dream or a passion and you keep getting rejected or running into failure, don't let that stop you. If you're going through a tough time in your life but working on something you really believe in, don't give up. If you do, you'll never know what could have been. Who knows, you might end up breaking records. Born in Chicago 1901 and raised in Missouri, Disney was the fourth son among five siblings. His father, Elias, was a domineering figure who was allegedly abusive as he tried unsuccessfully to make ends meet for the family. To escape from his stressful circumstances, young Disney found solace in drawing. Still, he'd watch his older brothers one by one run off from home to escape their father, and soon he'd follow suit by lying about his age to become an ambulance driver during the World War. Did you know that Disney was fired from the Kansas City Star because the editor felt he lacked imagination and had no good ideas? Walt formed his first animation company in Kansas City in 1921 and made a deal with the distribution company in which he would ship them his cartoons in New York and get paid 6 months later. Unsurprisingly, he was forced to dissolve the company because he couldn't pay his rent and was reportedly surviving on dog food. Needless to say, he went on to be nominated for 15 Academy Awards and was the greatest animator of all time. What do all these people have in common? All these people went through extreme situations and hardships that brought them immense pain and anger. But they didn't let these emotions bring them down. In fact, they took advantage of the feelings and used it as a source of motivation. Coming to the conclusion of our presentation, what we take away from this is that anger is a very important and necessary emotion in a person's life, but one must know how to channelize it and use it to their advantage. Use it as a drive to achieve your goals. Use it as a ladder to success. Don't think of anger as a negative emotion. Think of it as a positive gift. What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. It helps to release all your tensions and stress and anxiety and explore your boundaries and discover who you are as a person. Now I'd like Hanaf to take over.
And coming to the very main important of all, what did we learn from here? What will be our takeaway from here? Well, this internship was an amazing exposure to both professional yet fun environment. We got to know how research work is done. We got to learn about a completely undiscovered topic and learn how to find positive imprints and positive impacts of things which otherwise are conventionally considered as negative. None of us here would have ever thought of anger as a positive impact. None of us here would have ever thought of the positive imprints that anger leaves. But now, I'm sure all of us here would be channeling our anger for a good cause. Like any other team, even we face some difficulties, even we face some problems, but the way we solved them, the way we came up with the best possible solutions was completely different than our usual doubt solving classes. Each one of us was willingly helping one another, learning the core essence of team building and teamwork. This pandemic had forced all of us to lose the track of time management and leadership and responsibility. But the contribution, engagement, and management that was obliged to be poured into this internship made us all revive our abilities that we had lost. The survey and the entire presentation process required us to reach out to people in order to understand a wider perspective of anger and to learn what not just us but everyone thinks about anger. Therefore, and compiling it all that up into a document as creatively and as best as possible, it helped us increase our communicating and creativity skills.
A big thanks to Anand Global Foundation for giving us this opportunity to present this topic and learning many good life skills like team management, leadership, and consistency. We learned many professional skills like research, analysis, video making, and presenting. A big thanks again for this great opportunity.
And we would also like to thank our mentor, Miss Anshwara Ravi, for guiding us through the ups and downs of this journey and for being the best mentor we could have asked for.
Okay, so well done. Well done, team Fast and Furious. Now I would like to open the forum for our jury members to share their views and ask questions from the team members. Aparna ma'am.
Yeah, can you just stop sharing, please?
Yes, ma'am, just a second. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Team Fast and Furious. It was a difficult topic and you tackled it with equanimity and very cool demeanor.
Thank you, ma'am.
People in your age would not do it like this, because my question is, your analysis was great. Your outlook was positive on a subject which is so contaminated and negative. You did it with great focus, and that was great. But my question is anger age specific? You people didn't talk about passive aggression and active aggression. Huh? My questions are, I think you'll have to think a little about yourself and your friends in the school, family, your siblings. My question is, could anger be age specific? Is it that children in the teens, 11 to 20, are more prone to anger? And do you think repression is a factor which gives rise to anger? And that brings me to another, that is anger engendered? Are boys or men use anger as their entitlement? I mean, this is family, social, community, you see it all around. So the two questions, maybe I'm not saying anything else because I think it will take time. One thing is that, is it age specific and is it gender specific? So please, go ahead.
Can I take that question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was reading up on this topic actually of is it gender specific? And I would like to say, I don't think that like one gender gets more angry than the other gender. I think it's more acceptable for one gender to express their anger. I think it's more acceptable for men and boys to express their anger than it is for women, because it is expected that we should be able to keep the peace and we should be the mediators. I was actually reading upon this, and I read about an artist in the 18th century called Louise Bourgeois, and she said that her anger at things that happened in her past were what motivated her. However, how her art was received and how men's art was received, which was also motivated by anger, was very different. In that, one critique she received was that people found it pathetic and people found it wrong that even at this age she was holding on to her childhood anger. However, when men expressed their anger at their childhood trauma, it was much more acceptable. And people found it beautiful, people found it honest and creative. So I think it's just that women are told that you cannot express your anger, but I don't think it is that we get any less angry or any more angry than anyone else.
Thank you. I just want to add to it, we let us separate sex and gender. My question is anger engendered in the sense that is there a social division of anger, that it is all right for male and it is not so good for female? That is engendering. This is social assignment. So my question specifically was that is there engendering of anger, which in your reply somehow you specified it, that it is more accepted that if men get angry, it's all right, and if women get angry, they're assigned reasons that she's holding on to some complex or whatever. And I think you'll think about it that could this situation be corrected somehow with your generation? Because in my mother's generation, women were not expected to express their anger. In my generation, independent women thought that, well, communicating your disapproval, expressing your anger is all right. Of course, anger management is essential because it is like a fire. You put it on cotton and it will burn. And it is a two-way, destructive force. So, but this question goes on that as you grow up, don't engender it, don't assign it to that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aparna.
And the next question was age specific. Is there
second question?
The adolescents and youngsters, they get more angry?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to answer this question. Actually, I would like to answer this by dissecting what my family is going through. So I like to dissect what my grandmother, my mother, and I. So I see my grandmother as the more calm and the more vigilant person because she has gone through much. She has a wider experience than what I or my mother have. She is more calm and she is more prone to controlling her anger and using her anger for something good. If she gets angry, she'll just go and plant waters. This is the way she'll use her anger. My mother, on the other hand, would express her anger but would make sure that no one gets hurt, right? And she would make sure that even if I'm getting angry, I should not make others a part of it. Whereas I or other students of my age would make sure that they show their anger because we have been groomed in such a way, maybe because of the education and other reinforcement that we have been given. We have lived up to a very good life as compared to what our ancestors have, and we tend to show our anger. Therefore, yes, I do believe that gender aggression is age specific. Plus, also the age that we are going through right now is teenage. We have a lot of things going on with mental health, education, and our hormones, and that also triggers some sort of aggression and other things in us, which certainly gives us this thing where we should get angry. If I get angry, I'll go just shut my door and just start not talking to anyone. So this is what I would like to say about this.
Thank you. I mean, hormones, challenges, internet, these are the reasons. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aparna ma'am. Uma ma'am.
Firstly, congratulations I think it has been a wonderful presentation, well thought of, deeply analyzed, and the mere fact that you have approached this topic at this age, where emotions really play a part, especially your anger, your irritation, your gets triggered off with small things. So I think the way you've handled and all the points that you had taken in the presentation were very, very impressive. So a big congratulations, really well done. So there are just some points. Of course, I was very impressed by what you said, Kanak. And I just want to share 2 points. One is, anger could be actually an emotion that you're feeling very strongly from within because you are truly angry about something. The second kind of anger is anger which you want to show, which you're not really feeling, but you want to show because you want the other person to improve or to realize. An example, your mother may be angry with you, not because she's bucked with you or irritated with you. She might be angry because she wants you to realize that what you're doing is not correct, right? So I think this is a very important aspect of anger. Then second point I want to raise is, how can you, what action do you take when you are angry? Which according to me, I mean, in my life also, I feel what I do is I strongly believe I wait to calm down, to calm myself down. And what I do is have dialogue. I have dialogue with the person with whom I am angry. It, of course, probably you're very young. It might take time. You will be able to do that later in your life. But I really calm myself, and it requires a lot of courage. You need a lot of courage to go and talk to the person whom you want to bash up. You're so angry. But dialogue is the best way. And when you are waiting for your own, so anger is more of overcoming your own emotions than the other person. That is a very important point we need to realize. So coming to our questions, you had said use anger as a substitute emotion. So I would like any of you to please just elaborate a little bit on how do you feel you can use anger as a substitute emotion?
I would like to answer that.
Yes, please.
By saying that use anger as a substitute emotion, I'd like to start by giving an example. Suppose you went for a competition and you lost there. So the 2 emotions that you can execute at that time is like getting sad, getting discouraged, and sitting down, never trying again. Either, and this is the most prominent one that usually students like us go for. Either you substitute that into anger, get angry, get motivated by your anger, find out what you did wrong, find out your mistakes, come back next time, and then win that game or competition. This is what we mean by substituting anger as an emotion.
Okay, great. Then I would also like to ask you that what exactly, how do you understand, or can you explain the difference between being, angry and being, okay, let me use your word, furious. How would you explain the difference between both of these?
Between being angry and being
furious.
Furious.
Is there any difference? Do they mean the same?
I think there is. I think anger can be constructive. I think furious is just destructive. I think furious is when your anger is like beyond control, and the only thing you want to do, you want to hurt someone, you want to hurt yourself, you want to take like immediate action. There is no space for thinking, am I doing this right? Will it ultimately have good consequences? Will I ultimately be able to make anything productive out of this? Like furious is just blind anger. And then anger can be like sitting down and thinking what is the best way of expressing this. Like, is it
Okay.
through art? Is it through effective communication? Is it through just talking to someone like that?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
I would also like to add add something to it, that furious is more related to hatred. You cannot change someone's hatred. You cannot channelize someone's hatred to convert it into motivation. But you can surely do this for anger. So that's like, I believe, the basic difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Uma ma'am. Shammi ma'am.
Shami ma'am, you're on mute. Shami ma'am, you're on mute. We cannot hear you.
I'm extremely sorry. I just forgot to unmute myself. So it's a joy to see you so passionately address this important topic. And it was really, really a very, very nicely put up thing. They say every 10 minutes that you are angry, you lose 600 seconds of happiness. Yeah. And there was one thing that I was really curious to know when I, was going through this topic, that when you all must have gotten together and were brainstorming, sometimes it's really unstructured and anger is bound to happen at certain levels. But I think you answered that question of mine in the last last section of your, presentation. So now all I can say is there is another thing that says the key to anger reduction is knowing your own self. Yeah. So these 15 days that you have spent on analyzing your anger thing and how to twist it into motivation, how do you think you will utilize it in your life and take it further in a positive manner?
Ma'am,
If I may take this.
Absolutely, Tarini, I will love to hear you.
As you asked, that in the 15 days of working together as a team, we definitely went through our share of ups and downs, and definitely we got, internally we were like, oh, he's not working, she's not working, or something like that. But then finally we all came to the conclusion that we have to focus on our topic, and that topic is like not getting angry and getting motivated from anger. So we have to actually apply our topic in our work. So then that's what all of us did, and eventually then all of us got together, we did the teamwork, and everyone was in sync, and then we feel that we had a pretty good time in these 15 days. And further moving on, I think further in life, whenever I personally would be in a situation where I'm feeling angry or I'm getting discouraged from a certain situation, I definitely try to think of it in a more positive manner, and maybe try to think that maybe I'll try to think of my mistakes, that what I did wrong, and get motivated from what has happened, and then try to get better as I go. So
that's really wonderful. One more thing I would say in the last is I was hoping to hear about Lord Buddha here today because he's one of the epitome of, getting your anger in control. The antidote for anger is compassion. And he prescribed mindfulness, that if we all practice in our lives, we can channelize our anger well, because first we need to know ourselves through mindfulness, through meditation. Yeah, thank you very much. It was really wonderful hearing you all. Great presentation.
Thank you so much, Shami ma'am. Deepa ma'am, would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, sure. It was an astonishing presentation and very, very confident students. Congratulations to the mentor and all the interns. And I would especially like to comment on Khanak's confidence. I'm really impressed, Khanak, and all the other students actually.
Thank you so
much. But I'm really impressed with you. Very, very nice, astounding presentation. All your teamwork, hard work, coordination was too good. Very nice. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, your slides, your presentation was excellent. Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Also, ma'am, I would really like to apologize for the video glitch that happened. That didn't happen in the practice. It happened right now in the main event. I'm very disappointed for that. So really sorry for that.
Doesn't matter. You can just send it to us and then we'll see it again. Doesn't matter. But
thank you.
Really great job, all of you. Your hard work was showing actually. Your team coordination. Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your remarkable words. I want to congratulate the team for their wonderful performance. I hope this session would have been productive and insightful for you all. Thank you so much for being here and embracing this event with your precious presence. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.